Okay, we're live now.
All
Let's wait
right.
for people to join. Well, let me
Send me
see. Yeah.
send me the link over Slack again so I can see
Yeah,
everybody
for sure.
joining on YouTube, but I'll have to turn the audio off so I don't hear myself.
It's there.
Okay. Da.
I'm also opening here. I believe I will be able to see the messages on the Hangout, or let me see the screen where it comes. I believe I will be able to see the messages on the Hangout, or I was hearing myself here.
Okay.
Okay, so we have two watching now, so just us.
Yeah. Either way, I believe that YouTube will save that, and we can share that later as well.
Yeah, I will need to learn after how to use other tools to do the stream because Hangout is going offline after. It will be discontinued after 1st August, I believe.
Really?
Yeah.
And Google has any other tool for that, or they'll simply give up on this kind of thing?
Well, there are some options there just to transmit the webcam to, and for streamings like us are doing to share the screen, talk with other people in group. Then you need to have some application installed to do the stream. So they give you the link, and you have to use the application.
Okay.
Let's wait till 7 to start.
I sent a message to. Are you in the Open Mainframe project Slack as well?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm there.
Okay. And I think you are with us in the. Let me see. Uh, in the IBM Broadcom channels.
No, this one I'm not.
Let me add you to that because this is not related to what we were talking about, but it's important for you to be there as well because Duza is there as well. Let me just add you. Okay, Bill. And now you want to do to the API mediation layer as well. Because today I sent a question to the folks there because
Oh,
on our LPAR, I'm not sure if you know that we have CASP REST API available on LBI9, and it supposedly should the API mediation layer discovery service um, find find that automatically, but it's not for some reason. So I sent a question to the guys there, and
well, I didn't know there was this a specific channel.
yeah,
I'm just on the open ones
yeah,
about Zoe.
this closed one are just for us. We have direct contact from some folks there. So whenever we need something very specific for us on LBI9 or something like that, we reach to those folks, and we can have a more direct contact with them.
Oh, nice. Good to have
Yeah.
that.
hmm About the presentation, I'll do. I'm not sure who will be joining, but I'll do 3 minutes talk on what is the mainframe for? If someone are not sure what is the mainframe, it's just a quick talk. It's actually a video, pretty cool video actually.
Yeah, sure. That's nice. You know, I think I will do. I will share it in another Slack channels I'm participating with some other devs.
Okay.
Oh, there's some green light in my on my glass.
What?
Oh, I was just seeing myself in the video.
Okay. Actually, I believe watching on Hangout sometimes what you're sharing in your screen can be a little bit slow sometimes and not quite good frame count. I don't know what to call it. So I'm gonna cut out the video that I was going to show, and I'll just jump straight to the Zoe thing presentation slides. You know,
Hmm.
because if I try to share my video inside the Hangout, I think it will be very poor quality.
Okay, we can try. Do you want to try to share this right now, the video, to see, so I can watch here and tell you how
Okay,
it's coming?
let me put on my presentation mode here. Where should I click? Screen share, my entire screen. Okay, I believe that's the one. Can you see yourself? I'm sharing my screen right
No,
now.
not yet.
It's saying that it's sharing for me here.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I believe there is some delay.
okay. So let me. Are you able to see the slides? Okay. And here's the video.
Okay, just a moment, and yeah, it's coming.
Okay, now I'm going to play the video right now.
Well, people started to join us. Welcome.
Welcome,
We have
guys.
we have 5 online watching us.
We're doing some preparation. We'll get
Yeah.
started soon.
Uh, I believe it's fine, the video that's coming.
Okay.
But there is just an issue. It wasn't. I believe there was some song, but it was quiet. I don't know, like it was on mute.
Yeah, I turned the volume down
Okay.
a little. I can try to turn it up as well.
Hi, Thomas. Welcome. Thanks for joining.
I believe in 5 minutes we can get started.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hey Marcelo, how are you, man?
Thanks for the feedback.
And how's the delay, guys? Are you feeling that there is a great delay on me speaking and showing things on the screen? This maybe might be a problem.
Three minutes now to start.
All right.
And we have 6 people watching us.
Cool.
Well, I think we can start now. We are at 7 p.m. here in Brazil, 6 p.m. in US time, and that's our time. We have now 5 people watching us, and hi guys. For who doesn't know me, I'm William. I'm Bill, or you can call me as Bill, and I'm working with mainframe already some time, and also I enjoy the open initiatives. And today we scheduled this live to talk with my friend. I have invited him, Guilherme. He's a developer here at IBM, and he had made some cool things here with Zoe and other modern apps like Slack. And so I will pass to you, Guilherme, and I will be out watching our chat. So if someone has any question, feel free just send the question, and I will pass for him.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. My name is Guilherme. I work at IBM as a mainframe software developer for automation. I've been working with mainframes since 2013, and I have always been passionate about programming and learning new stuff. So I'm really excited about Zoe and on all these new technologies that are coming out now with the Open Mainframe project. And the idea here today is to talk a little bit more about Zoe and what it is all about, and show you guys some examples on how you can use Zoe to to be more productive or to be uh, in this API economy world kind of thing. So I prepared a small presentation here and some slides, and I'm gonna share it with you guys here. And if you have any questions, feel free at any moment to send it on in the chat, and Bill will read it out for us. Okay, so let's get started here. So I believe that all of you guys are already familiar with mainframes, but if you guys are not, if there's some of you who don't know exactly what a mainframe is, it's basically a large machine created by IBM. And instead of talking about mainframe and its history that it's dated from the 60s, I believe that is better showing you guys. There's a little video here. Let me. Right, pretty cool video. Stop here. It tells us that the mainframe is basically, oops, okay. So it tells us that the mainframe is basically critical for our day-to-day business in our world. So it's basically the backbone technology that we have today, alongside with distributed systems uh, that handles our basically our world technology, our day-to-day critical applications. So the idea here today, inside the mainframe, we have something called Zoe, which is an open source project, and that's what I like it the most, because meaning that it's open source, many people can contribute to that and make it even better. And I will show you guys some examples of that here today. So Zoe basically is an open source project, which is a partnership between IBM, CA, Broadcom, and Rocket Software. And the idea is to be a framework connecting application and tools to the mainframe data and applications. And the idea in it aims to make the mainframe an integrated and agile platform within the changing IT architecture landscape. Okay, so it's the first open source project on ZOS. ZOS is the operating system inside the mainframe, and all the code that you see for Zoe is licensed under the Eclipse public license version 2.0. So it's basically public to anyone uh, who wants to contribute and learn a little bit more about this kind of technology. It's available on GitHub. There will be some links here in the presentation as well. So if anyone is interested on that can go there and check it out. And this is a project that is under the Open Free projects within the Linux Foundation. And here we have some curiosities about Zoe. Zoe 1.0 was announced at Think 2019. It's 100% open source, as I mentioned earlier. Um, is a framework ready for commercial exploration. So if you have some production applications that you want to apply Zoe, it is ready for that. It has packed with security and all the things that make mainframe applications great. You have that on Zoe as well. It's pronounced as I'm pronouncing right now. Zoe is not an acronym because usually especially at IBM and this kind of field, we have a lot of acronyms to talk about different tools. And Zoe is not that. It's just a name. It's just Zoe. And as I mentioned earlier as well, is a partnership between IBM, Rocket Software, and CA Technologies, and it's already available. It was available since February 2019. So it was in beta version and now is on full version available. And what is the vision around Zoe? I'll talk about its components and what it's all about later on. But what is the vision behind that? Is to attract new people, reduce the learning curve, and simplify architecture. Today, we have a great challenge in the mainframe world. We have old people working in the mainframe, and these people will retire eventually. And the kind of skills that those guys have is quite essential to our world today, I would say, because we have many critical applications running on the mainframe, as we saw in the video, and we need to attract new people to work in the mainframe. And Zoe is here to make a stand on that because it will demystify the Z platform. It is user friendly. You see that it has a kind of desktop interface, and one of its components is kind of a desktop interface. It's easier to use and learn, especially if you never heard of the mainframe before. Uh, if you start working the mainframe, it can be quite intimidating looking at the 3270 screen. So Zoe is here to help you with that. And reducing the learning curve, it will improve your productivity. And the way that Zoe works, you can also integrate with modern tools that are already available to most software developers out there. So let's say you're a college student and you study computing science and you learn modern programming languages and you want to start working with the mainframe. With Zoe, you can combine the knowledge that you learn in college with the mainframe knowledge that you have using Zoe, because it will allow you this kind of integration, simplifying as well the architecture overall. So here we have an overview on what is allocating a data set before Zoe and how you can allocate a data set after Zoe. The first model can be quite simple if you're already familiar with how mainframe and ISPF works, but think of someone who just started working on the mainframe. This can be quite intimidating. And this is a pretty simple task, right? Allocating a data set on the mainframe is one of the most simple tasks that you can do on ZOS. And it's quite complicated if you never worked on that before. On the other hand, with Zoe, In this case here, this GIF is showing the ZOWE CLI component. On the other hand, the ZOWE CLI component will allow you to use modern tools and modern programming languages like JavaScript to interact with the mainframe and allocate the data sets that you need. So I talk about how ZOWE can improve this learning curve and things like that. So what it is all about. ZOWE is basically focused on three main components or pillars here. We have the ZOWE Desktop. As I mentioned, it has a familiar, user-friendly interface for new users. You can see there at the bottom right GIF is the API mediation layer, and we have the ZOWE CLI. The ZOWE Desktop and the ZOWE CLI and the API mediation layer are the basis of ZOWE. The ZOWE CLI, as I showed in the previous slide, is a way to communicate with the mainframe by command line interface. And the API mediation layer allows you to, on a single point of entry, control all the REST API services available in your mainframe. So it's a pretty cool service, because if you have a lot of REST API services on there, can be quite tricky to manage all of them. And with the API mediation layer, you can have more control and you can do the load balancing and things like that. Moving forward, talking a little bit more about the ZOWE Desktop that we saw on the previous slide. You can develop your own screens there. So if you're familiar with JavaScript, Angular, or iframe frameworks for front-end development, you can develop your own application and expose that in the ZOWE Desktop, so you can basically do mainframe activities, but in a user-friendly environment and interface. So here we have some examples on that. And here are the plugins that make this work. You have the ZSS server that provides the secure REST API services. You have the application plugin, and you have the explorers, which will basically allow you to use mainframe services in your application. So you have JES services, you have MVS services, and you have USS services. So let's say you want to execute a job, or you want to allocate a data set, you can use those services available to you in an easily manner. In a kind of way, you can figure that as being a kind of a building block for more complex applications that you can build. Now, the ZOWE CLI, the command line interface, it will allow you to directly communicate with ZOS using your command line interface in your machine. So let's say that you are using Windows or Linux or something like that. On Windows, you have the command line for Windows. If you download the ZOWE CLI and you have a ZOSMF installed in your mainframe, you can create a ZOSMF profile and start issuing ZOS console commands or dataset kind of commands, managing jobs and things like that through your command line interface in your Windows, let's say. So whenever we see something like that, CLI, the command line interface, I believe, at least on my point of view, it should never be used as is. Of course, you can use as is. You can simply execute the commands in your Windows like that. But the idea, on my point of view, is that you should use that as an automation platform. Because if you can execute commands on your Windows that will directly do something in the mainframe, you can also do programming. You can do, I don't know, you can do some Python scripts, you can do Bash scripts that will use that to perform mainframe activities in an automatic way. So whenever I see CLI, the first thing that I think is that it should be used as an automation platform. It will allow you to have more opportunities to automate things that you couldn't do without that. And now talking about the API mediation layer. The API mediation layer, as I previously speak, it will allow you to manage all the REST API services inside your mainframe from a single point. So this will allow the load balancing and kind of thing, and it will simplify the management of your services and REST APIs. And it's based on a service that was developed by Netflix. Okay, it's the Netflix Eureka service, which will do this API mediation service. Now, if you are interested in this kind of thing and in open source projects and in the mainframe, you can get started by accessing one of those links. The ZOWE.org is the project community site, and you can also download. Here in the slide is saying that is the beta download, but we are already in the full version, and you can contribute as well. And there are the code guidelines and things like that. And here's the GitHub page if you want to take a look at the source code. And there's also developer tutorials as well. The idea here was just to show a quick overview on what is ZOWE. And now after this slide, I'll get to the demo of some things that we developed here. So if you want to get involved in ZOWE Community, there's also a Slack channel that you can contribute as well. And this is all available under the Open Mainframe project site as well, okay?
And Guilherme, there is something that I love about this project, about ZOWE, because I've been dealing with JavaScript and some reactive frameworks, and sometimes even that I love the 37, I missed all the dynamics from working with the VS Code, other languages, and I see the community from React here in Brazil, around the world, and they are very active, and we are bringing now a lot of possibilities for us, for other people to join and have more contact with this technology. People, because we have now a friendly interface and languages and everything that they already love it are able to run here.
Absolutely. So let me get started with the demo here, guys. This is VS Code. VS Code is an IDE for as a development environment from Microsoft. And a pretty cool thing about that, just let me log in on this. Pretty cool thing about that is that we can install many extensions on this IDE. So if you're a software developer, you're already familiar with VS Code, there's nothing new for you about this. But if you are a mainframe developer, all you were familiar was the 3270 screen, which is this one here. You are familiar with TSO and ISPF menus and this kind of thing. Now, with Zoe CLI, that is the first showcase that I'm going to give you guys here. The community, and that's the beauty about the open source project, right? This was not developed by IBM, this was not developed by Broadcom, neither Rocket Software. Someone from the community saw an opportunity to create an extension on VS Code to use the Zoe CLI, as I mentioned previously. CLI should always be viewed as an opportunity for automation, and that was what has been done here. This person saw this opportunity, creating an extension on VS Code, and now instead of having to deal with the complex interface from ISPF, we can simply look here the data sets. Let's say my high-level qualifier here, and it will list me all the data sets under this high-level qualifier, and I can work on them as if I was working on simple files on my machine. So if I look here, I can see the DEX file. There's a large DEX file here, and I can simply work on that and have it saved and uploaded to the mainframe automatically, as you can see here at the bottom. So this is a great example on how open source projects for the mainframe is already paying off, because someone in the community saw an opportunity and did something about that. And the great kind of addition. If you are new to the mainframe, this is not the ISPF menus is not the kind of thing that you should worry about. You need to worry about on how the mainframe works underneath, right? You don't want to get caught on hours trying to figure out how to allocate a data set. If this kind of tool will help you increase your productivity right on, because you don't have to worry about the little things at the beginning. Of course, later on, you will need to learn all those kind of things, because all the mainframe developers uh, will have to log in the mainframe to do things eventually as well. But this doesn't mean that this kind of tool is not important for you to increase your productivity. So this is a great example. And this top part here is just for data sets. There's also a part here for USS. I can see my home directory here. I did something wrong. It's not this. It's capital letter, I believe. Yeah, here it is. And so here I can see all the things that I have under my Unix OMVS directory here, and I can simply work on that, do things, and save, and it will be automatically uploaded to the mainframe as well. And if I, for some reason, if I do execute some jobs, I can see the dumps of those jobs here as well. As you can see here, I have a lot of banded jobs on my username. I can clear that up as easily. And let's say, let me try to execute a job just for show here. Let me see if I have a simple job, test JCL. Yeah, this JCL here seems quite simple. And as you can see here as well, the community also developed a highlighting extension for VS Code. So you can see here, it identified that this is a JCL, and it did the highlighting appropriately. So if I want to execute this JCL, it's quite simple. All I have to do is to right click on that and click on submit job. And it says that the job has been submitted, and here's the job number. And if I click on that, I can see that the job didn't complete it with return code 0. And I had some errors here, probably because I'm not authorized to issue this kind of command. But I can easily see what went wrong. I can see all the output files much easier than if I was working in the mainframe, especially if I'm new to the mainframe. So this is a quite cool thing. And it was entirely developed by the community, and it was entirely developed using the ZOWE CLI. So it used all the commands available in the ZOWE CLI were used here to make this interface here on VS Code. So it's a pretty cool thing, pretty cool thing. Now, I'm going to show you guys some, excuse me, some things that we've done here. Let me close everything here. Some scripts using ZOWE CLI that will give you guys a more overview on what can be achieved using that. So the first example that I will show is, let's say that you have in your mainframe a large file. Actually, I had that open here, but let me open on the 3270. It will be better to visualize. So I have a large file here with some random text, but as you can see here, there are some emails hidden here in this text, and it's quite difficult to see, but we have some emails here. We have another one here. Let's say that we have some report, some production report on our environment that we need to extract important information from there. Let's say that I want to extract all the emails from this file and have that sent to me. if I'm experienced programmer in the mainframe, I can do some recs to do that for me. That could take a while, but I believe that I could achieve that eventually. But if I'm new to the mainframe, uh, I wouldn't know how to do this kind of thing. But if I'm familiar with programming languages, let's say Python, I can do regular expressions to extract email addresses from any text file. All I have to do is to have that file available for me outside of the mainframe. So this is a perfect opportunity to use Zoe CLI alongside with the Python script to have all the emails extracted from a file and have them send it over to me. So what I've set up here, let me get the script. I have a Rex, sorry, a Python script here that will retrieve emails from this data set, which in this case I hard coded here, but I can do in another way. I can do that in a template format that I will show uh, shortly, and it will download this file here and it will use the regular expressions. If you're not familiar with regular expressions, it's basically a kind of a coding language that will allow you to identify patterns in a string and extract that if a match is found. So in this case, these regular expressions here can be quite cryptic to understand, but if you study a little bit about regex, you eventually will learn how to figure out how it works. But basically here what it's doing is identifying an email address format. There's a quite simple regex here. And what it will do, it will get the file that was downloaded from the mainframe, apply this rule to all the records in that, and it will extract all the email address from that. Other than that, what I've done here as well, I connected that to an SMTP library from Python, because Python has a lot of modules that you can import that was already developed by other developers. So again, another great thing about Zoe, in this case Zoe CLI, is that there are many great code out there that can do many different tasks. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you're doing some tasks. Someone else or probably already done something that you were trying to achieve. And now with Zoe CLI, we can use all of those modules, all of those great code in our projects to take advantage from that and use that in our day-to-day. So in this case, I'm connecting to the SMTP for Gmail, and I'm sending an email to myself with all the email address that was extracted from that mainframe file. So from this simple script, 33 lines here, I can extract a data set, download that, apply some regular expression rules, and send an email to myself. So here I have the email, open it here on my inbox. You can see there's nothing here. Let's do is loading. So there's nothing here right now. If I go to my command line and issue the npm run get emails, which was the command that I configured to execute this Python script, it will execute that. Download the data set, send the email, and it's done. If I look here, I can see I just received an email from myself with all the email addresses from that data set. So I did this manually right now. I just executed a command and it did it for me. But think as I can do that automatically as well. I can set a job here on my system that will execute from time to time and extract that kind of information from a temporary file on the mainframe and have that sent over to me or wherever I need. So think about this kind of application in your environment. Okay, so this is just one of an example using Python, but it can do all sort of things as well. This was just a simple example that shows how the Zoe CLI can help you achieve what you're trying to achieve. Another
And
example, okay.
one thing that I think that is awesome here, you did that. You take a report from one LPAR. Imagine if you have a lot of systems that you want to do the same task. You do everything from your machine, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You don't have to log in on all of those systems and execute several JCLs to achieve that. You can do that from a single machine, your workstation, and have awesome results. So that's about increasing our productivity right there, right?
Yeah,
So okay, this was an example using Python. Let me show you guys other things that you can do using the Zoe CLI. Again, there are hundreds, thousands of modules out there that many software developers use in a day-to-day basis. And now with the Zoe CLI, you can take advantage on that for the mainframe. So npm is a package manager for the Node.js and has today over 500,000 modules, I believe. And one of those modules that we will use in our example today it's called Mustache. Mustache is a templating kind of platform. So it will allow us to create a template for anything. It can be source code, can be a text file, whatever we want. And it will allow us to create sort of variables that will be rendered when we execute the render command. So let me show how this works exactly. Here is an example of a Rex code that is on my machine. This is not in the mainframe right now. This is on my local machine. It's called myRex. Rex, for those of you who don't know, is a programming language in the mainframe. It's a quite powerful programming language. It's pretty cool. So here we have a very simple Rex code that do some bizarre say string here with this curly brackets here doing something that doesn't make much sense. But this is the mustache syntax that I will show you guys. And here is doing some sum from 1 to 2 here. So what this rex.message means here, it means that whenever this code gets rendered by Mustache, it will read from some configuration file the attributes of an object rex message and it will do a replace here. In this case, this is the configuration file that it is talking about. You can see here, this is a JSON. This is a JSON object. JSON, for those of you who don't know, is a kind of data structure quite famous today and very much used on REST APIs and this kind of thing. It's very used on JavaScript as an object notation. And in this case, we can see here we got this Rex attribute here and the message attribute. So what is being done here on the myRex code is that whatever it is in that attribute will be replaced when it's rendered, and it will be here as this zconnect xp. So if I change this message here, let's say hello guys, I don't know, something like that, and then I do a command to do the render, it will automatically do the render to here. So it now replace that to hello guys. So this could be, you could see that and think that is a very silly example. Why would you do that, right? This is a very simple, it seems very complicated what I'm doing here. Why not just simply replacing whatever is there manually? Well, this is a very simple Rex, but believe that, imagine that you have some very large, complex configuration Rex or JCL in your LPAR or several LPARs in your systems, and you have a new someone new in your team, and they need to run these JCLs there, but they need to replace several things in the JCL or in the Rex. They would need to do that manually, and that would be very time consuming. So if you write all those codes using this templating format from Mustache. All this person had to do is to change the variables here in the configuration file, run the render command, and magically all that code will be customized using that person configurations, right? So in a large scale, this can be very helpful. Now, I said that this file is on my local machine, right? The file being on my local machine is not any good to me. I need that to be in the mainframe to run. It's a Rex code. I need to run that in the mainframe. And if you tell me that I need to execute some complex command here to upload that to a specific data set, that will not be very helpful as well. I need to do that some way that is automatically. I need to upload several files at once, and I need to work it fast. So another npm module that we have available to our use is a module called noDaemon. And what this module do, it will look for changes on a specific folder or file, and will do some action on that. So let me show a little bit of the source code on that. This is a JavaScript source code, okay? In this case, TypeScript. What is being done here, it will monitor the ZOS source folder for any changes, and it will look for Rex, JCL, and text extensions. And when something is changed here, it will run this npm run upload command. And this npm run upload command is a command that I've configured in my system that will perform the Zoe CLI command to upload files to a data set, okay? So this was entirely previously configured in my system. We coded that. This was actually a code that I extracted, I believe, from some example in the internet. I'm not sure where I got this code previously on, but we did all the configuration required to make it work on our system. And what we can do here, let me show on the command line right now. I can have the noDaemon, oops, I ran the wrong command. We can have the noDaemon watch our ZOS source file here. So it's looking for any change in this folder here. Okay. And if I do now, let's say that I want to do some changes in the template again. Let's say that the template is the code that I'll be working on right now. So let's say how 100 times 20, something like that. I'll save that. And then on the second screen here, I'll do npm run render, because I want to render this code to that ZOS source code. And when I do that, noDaemon will automatically detect that and upload that to the mainframe without me having to do anything. So I did something wrong here. Okay, so I think I broke something right now. And of course, this always happens when you're doing some showcase, right? It was working 5 minutes ago, and now it's not.
Well, looks that the
Oh,
npm
okay.
command you said was in the wrong folder, right?
I am the wrong folder. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm being silly here. Okay.
Yeah, who knows makes online.
Okay, so we did the rendering here, and then the noDaemon saw that change, and we can see here that automatically upload that to the mainframe. So the change that I did was I simply made this simple change here, and if I go to the mainframe, I can see that it's already there, and I've been locked off from the mainframe. Let me log in again from here to show the file already in the mainframe. So here's the code that I just uploaded automatically in the mainframe. It is here for me, and if I want to execute that, it will execute the code that I wrote. So this is another example by using modules that are available to you on NPM to extend on that and take advantage of the gateway that Zoe CLI opened to you to extend on that and do more complex thing upon that. Okay, so that's the another example of using Zoe CLI. And let me see, there's another thing that I want to show here. No, that was basically this two examples here. Now I'm going to show you guys an example using Slack and Zoe kind of integration. So Slack, guys, for those of you who don't know, is this kind of chat application that is quite famous today, especially with developers and developers team. And here what I got here, I'm opening on the Open Mainframe project screen, but I can open, there are several work environments here. So one of them is, let's see here, I've opened a chat with myself. And what I did, I created an application on Slack called ZoeBot. And what this application do, it takes advantage from Zoe CLI to execute commands in the mainframe by using this Slack interface. So the way that I did that, I see here we have a Node.js application running on my machine, and I exposed that in the network so Slack can see my application. And here I have several endpoints configured on my simple REST API here. We have the console, JCL, Rex, this kind of thing. And what it does, again, it uses the Zoe CLI to perform mainframe activities. So in Slack, what I can do here, let me see, I can do a console command. So if I do this console, I can execute a console command. Let's see, DA. Let me see how the Zoe task is going. So if I do this, it will execute the DA command on MVS, and it should return me in this Slack window. So it's a pretty cool example. And see, I can see here the task is up. It's consuming this amount of CPU time and all sort of things. So let me see if I'm working on a critical chat with the team. Something is going wrong in the mainframe, and I want to have a fast response on that. And I want everybody to see what has been doing on the mainframe. All I have to do is to execute a command in the chat, and everybody can see the output right away. So that's a pretty cool example here of using Zoe to extend upon that, okay? Now, I've talked a lot about the Zoe CLI. Let me show you guys a little bit more about the other components of Zoe as well, because we have the ZOWE Desktop interface and we have the ZOWE API mediation layer. So I want just to show you guys how this look like before we move forward here. I need to log in again. Okay. Now, if I go to the ZOWE Desktop, my session was expired. Okay. Now, this is running right now in the mainframe, but I'm tunneling over my local host, local machine here. So this is how ZOWE Desktop looks like. It is a very user-friendly interface, right? It just looks like a kind of Windows kind of experience. So think again, imagine if you are a new guy working in the mainframe. If you just click here, you can have access to several components of the ZOWE Desktop interface. So let's say that you want to start working on, I don't know, 3270 project. So here it's simply open to you the 3270 screen being emulated here in the ZOWE Desktop. This is a web interface, okay? So everything here is being emulated, and you can log in here and start working in the mainframe. just as if you were working in a pecan or something like that. Now you can also explore other things here. Let's say the MVS Explorer. I'm not sure if it's currently working on our test environment. Yeah, it's probably not working right now. But there are a lot of mainframe services that you can directly consume here in a friendly interface without needing to worry about on which menu that you have to access, which command that you have to execute on the TSO and things like that. And again, if you are a software developer and you're familiar with Angular or iframe or React, you can create your own interface to do your own things in the mainframe, because ZOWE Desktop allows you to build that upon that, on top of that. And then you have the API catalog that I want to show here in another screen. Use another address. The API catalog basically will show me all the services, REST services running on my system right now, and how can I consume on that. And one of the components of the API mediation layer is the discovery service, which, as I mentioned previously, was built upon the Netflix Eureka service. That is the same service that Netflix uses to do the mediation layer on their environment. And what that services do, it will automatically identify REST API services in your environment. So many of services are already automatically identified, can be identified by the discovery services. And if you develop your own REST API service, all you have to do is do some changes in your code to make the API mediation layer find your service and expose here as well. So here you can see this API services. You can see the status of them. If you click upon some of them, you can have access to the documentation on those and how to work on these. And that's basically a good overview on what ZOWE is all about and how you can get started working on that. And yeah, I think that's it. Do you have any questions?
Let's see
Nope.
on the chat. Till now, no. Feel free, guys. If you want to ask something, just let us know here on the chat, and we're gonna try to answer. Uh, One thing that I really think is cool, you have that integration with the Slack, and now you can just connect to Word. You can take all the advantage of the microservices, right? You
Right.
can
Absolutely.
you can use APIs from other, for example, for AI, for any other modern provider that is there outside, and the people
Mm-hmm.
are already using. We have everything now. Also, we
Yeah.
have
Absolutely.
all the power of the mainframe and all the modern things that are already coming every day.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, Guilherme, one question: those scripts you showed here, do you have it on your GitHub? Can we share it?
Right now, I don't have that on my GitHub, but I can definitely add that to that. That's actually a great idea. I didn't thought about that earlier. But yeah, I'll be sharing that on my GitHub and let you guys know as well, so you can see how it works and can get started working as well.
Perfect. So once you have it, just give them the link, and I will add here on the comments from this video, so people can just take it from here.
Absolutely.
Uh, there's a question from Thomas here. So, what additional items needed to be loaded on the mainframe to make it work? So, actually, Thomas, one key thing that today we need to use the Zoe on the mainframe, you need the ZOSMF, right?
Yeah.
And together with that, so there are some different prerequisites on the mainframe side. You need the ZOSMF, you need to have the Node.js there, I believe the Java also. And but to work on your machine with the CLI, for example, and start using, you you need to have also the Node.js installed in this connection. One thing, people that want to try it, there is some free trial on the IBM side, so that's a nice start point to start playing with that. So you can ask an
Hmm.
ID there.
Yeah. And also another thing that is, I think, is worth mentioning, that for Zoe CLI specifically, you don't need to have anything installed on your ZOS except ZOSMF. So the ZOSMF is kind of the base component for Zoe. So you absolutely need to have that on your mainframe machine. But for Zoe CLI, you don't need much. All you have to do is to install some things on your machine, like Bill said. You need Node.js installed and npm basically. And then you can simply create a ZOSMF profile connecting to your LPAR, and then you can start using Zoe CLI to do all those things that I show you guys here. And yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, and to run the CLI, you don't need to be locked in one kind of operating system. You can run it on Windows, Mac, and Linux. So that's
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another great point for Zoe CLI.
okay, guys. I believe that we can close this live if we don't have any other questions. And I will update here later. Once we have the scripts, I will update on the comments, and I will also make this available on the channel. Thanks, all.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
Guilherme.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great one.